The subject of the present day presentation is the study of history, the study of world history, the study of the history of culture and society from the Stone Ages over the ancient and medieval societies up to the current world society, up to the advent of the modern industrial society and developments following suite. First of all, I show you the publications, or some of the publications I have written according to the subject. World History and Societal Evolution and Mankind Quarterly shows how stage theory can or must be applied to the understanding of following historical eras and epochs, how we can understand what was added pertaining to technological or scientific or cultural advancements that can be explained by the terms of stage theory, how modern society is distant from ancient society, explainable in terms of stage theory. And the first article shows the relevance of stage theory to the understanding of history and social change generally. And here are some of my most important articles I've ever written, especially the first one, the first scientific revolution, is pertaining to different criteria, perhaps the most important article I've ever written, because it shows that the new theory, the structural genetic theory program, is the first theory in science history to encompass all different social and human disciplines and delivers to them a common roof. And there is no other possibility to unify all social and human disciplines under one common roof. And this article here shows it in the clearest way possible. The other two articles published in the American Journal of Psychology are also crucial and pivotal, especially the last one. He is perhaps the clearest article concerning how to explain that humans stood on different developmental stages in history. When we want to understand hidden history, then we must have a full understanding of the human being. We must know what is a human being. And we must know his special traits and characteristics. We must know how he thinks. We must know his worldview and his psyche and personality. If you do not know the human being, then you cannot understand history. Usually, social scientists and historians or representatives of other disciplines understand ancient humans is they understand themselves. They have no theory available to dovetail and to pinpoint the exact structures of the ancient or medieval human being, or the Stone Age hunter and gatherer. Therefore, they cannot avoid of transferring that what they know of themselves to people that lived thousands of years ago. And therefore, errors and mistakes are unfolding, coming from this superficial method. If you do not know that the ancient human being or the medieval human being did not stay on the formal operational stage, but stood on the pre-operational or concrete operational stage, if you do not know this, then you cannot understand the deep-rooted and deeply entrenched different structures of ancient or medieval human being. And that is the case today. That is the current situation of the international social sciences and human disciplines, without exceptions worth to be mentioned. And prior social sciences and humanities, especially in the time span 1880 to 1940, were advanced in comparison, because these generations and decades of researchers had at least partially a better understanding of the different structure of ancient and medieval human being. If you do not know the pre-operational structures pertaining to ancient or medieval humans, you do not understand the history of societies from Stone Ages over ancient and medieval to modern societies. You do not understand the history of culture, society, economics, law, politics, religion, morals, arts, philosophy, and sciences. The common sociologist, as he is educated against the background of the wrong idea of cultural relativism and universalism, the current and common social scientist does believe that social structures evolve by themselves, evolve by affecting other social structures, that social circumstances change due to other social circumstances. Like ice plates wandering over the oceans and hitting each other, and thus moving forward according to other pushes. And therefore they think that the evolution of religion or the changes in religious life are nothing else than reflections to changing social structures and circumstances. And they think also that sciences came into being due to requirements. Or they think that people changed their worldview due to social changes. Or they think that the evolution of economy originates in investments or in changing economic policies. or in changes concerning exploitation and conquest. Or they think that developments in politics originate in power constellations and in changing and shifting class constellations and class conflicts. Thus, they have not the slightest idea of the real and fundamental causes behind the existence and behind the specific structure of ancient religion, law, politics, morals, arts, philosophy, and sciences. They have not the slightest knowledge concerning the fundamental structures of the ancient phenomena mentioned. And therefore, they have also not the slightest knowledge of the transformation paths and transformation stages these phenomena went through during history. And they have not the slightest knowledge about the foundations behind the specifics of these phenomena when they arrive the modern times. The deep structures behind the ancient structures of these cultural areas and collective systems are in the pre-operational stage, while the progressing forms of these cultural areas are made by transitional psychological stages, while the modern appearances and apparitions of these phenomena, when they arrive the modern epoch, the modern industrial society and developments following suit, are made by the adolescent stage of formal operations. They have not the slightest knowledge about these foundations. And therefore, 99% of current social scientists and representatives of human disciplines and social disciplines have not the slightest knowledge about the foundations of world history. And that has to do with their regard that the collective systems of law, or such as law, religion, morals, politics, are independent from psychological stage impacts, and that they don't know that they are manifestations of psychological stages. And therefore, their misleading ideas concerning the nature of the collective systems unfolds and manifests in a total wrong understanding of their nature. What we have to understand is that the collective systems of law, religion, politics, morals, and arts, and so on, are nothing else than the manifestations of the stage structures people have in their minds in a certain society. If people in ancient society stood on the pre-operational stage, then it follows that also the collective systems in the ancient world, such as religion, politics, and morals, sciences, also were shaped by the pre-operational stage, because the collective systems are nothing else than the manifestations of the stages of the people themselves. It is impossible that the collective systems can be independent from the cognitive structures of the peoples. A collective system or collective systems cannot stay on the formal operational stage when the people is on the pre-operational stage, or when the people of a society is on the formal operational stage, then the collective systems are not anymore on the pre-operational stage. Each people constitutes and creates collective systems according to their own structures. And therefore, the collective systems are the result of that what is inside the brain of a people. Ancient religion consists mainly on nature religion and ancestor worship. But what is nature religion? Nature religion is a kind of religion originating in animism, and animism is a part of the pre-operational stage of the people. And therefore, the collective system, nature religion, is nothing else than a manifestation of the brain structures of the people. The same with ancestor worship. Ancestor worship originates in the childish attitude to adore their parents and adults generally. Again, ancestor worship and nature religion, the main parts of ancient religion, are nothing else than a manifestation of the pre-operational stage of the people. And it is clear from these examples that you can generalize this to all parts of religion and of religious history. The replacement of ancestor worship and nature religion in the more advanced religions by monotheism and so on, is nothing else than an evolution to higher forms of cognition. The same phenomenon you can observe in law history, in the history of criminal law, that the ancient collective system of criminal law consisted of brutal and sadistic punishments, while the modern criminal law is shaped by the abolishment and abrogation of these brutal forms of punishment and by its replacement by more humane forms of punishment, is nothing else than a manifestation of the stages the people had in their minds. The collective system of brutal punishment law, brutal capital criminal law, was made by the pre-operational structure of the primitive psyche. That's what the peoples themselves wanted to see according to their stage, unfolded and manifested in the collective system. Or you see it in arts. When ancient painting could not surmount the two-dimensional understanding of space, then this phenomenon originates in the pre-operational stage of the people themselves, while the evolution of this three-dimensional painting originated in the evolution of the concrete operational stage in the Renaissance period. And so we can generalize this. What we see in history is the transformation of the collective systems of politics, law, morals, philosophy, sciences, arts, and literature from pre-operational over concrete operational to the formal operational stages. And this evolution of culture and society generally is nothing else than the evolution of cognitive structures in the minds of the people themselves. And therefore, we can gain a true understanding of the advent of modern industrial society only when we understand that the humans peopling modern societies have advanced in terms of stages. The period of enlightenment in the 18th century is nothing else than a manifestation of the formal operational stage. The Age of Enlightenment, fighting against forms of superstition, magic, and other manifestations of the pre-operational stage. The Age of Enlightenment, fighting against slavery and serfdom, fighting for liberty rights, ideas of republic and democracy. This Age of Enlightenment is nothing else than a manifestation of higher cognitive stages. And therefore, generally, the rise of modern industrial society is nothing else than a manifestation of the higher stages. The rise of the free world, the rise of a society that defends the liberty rights of single persons, of the individual, the rise of the modern society, the rise of the free world is a manifestation of the adolescent stage of formal operations. And so we see generally that you can only understand the nature of modern society if you do understand a psychological stage development unfolding in history, when you understand the nature of the adolescent stage of formal operations. And therefore, we can say that the only possibility to understand the history from the Stone Ages over ancient and medieval societies to the advent of modern industrial society is given by the recognition and by the acknowledgement of psychological stage developments. But we can say more. The structural genetic theory program is not only decisive for a foundation of history, it is also decisive for the understanding of all other disciplines in the with regard to social and human disciplines. For example, you can understand ethnology only when you apply psychological stage theory. Everything was what ethnology has done over the past 300 years is to describe the strange patterns, the customs, the religious beliefs, the myths, and the behavior traits of archaic or pre-modern peoples. They always found different structures and archaic structures. Every textbook that described an archaic society describes their animistic views, their magical beliefs, and other forms of irrational or strange behavior. But these you can explain only when you apply stage theory. When you have the knowledge of the patterns and characteristics of the pre-operational stage. If you do not, as a scientist, know the patterns of the pre-operational stage, you will land in a superficial understanding of these patterns and collective structures. You can only gain a deep-rooted, a genuine understanding of the ancient and primitive structures if you have available the knowledge about the pre-operational structures that are beneath these collective systems. And therefore, it is absolutely clear you must understand, you must know psychological stage theory to understand what is the normal business of ethnology. And the great authors of ethnology, such as Edward Tyler, James George Fraser, or Lucien Lévy-Bruhl, were eager to develop a true understanding of primitive reasoning and primitive thought. And they knew that only a deep understanding of the primitive psyche would allow to gain a full understanding. And it was James George Fraser who predicted in 1927 that only with the assistance of developmental psychology it would succeed to gain this theory. And one of the first great authors to link ethnology to developmental psychology was Fritz Schulze in his Psychologie der Naturvölker of the year 1900. And the next step was given with Heinz Werner in his Einführung in die Entwicklungspsychologie of the year 1926. There is an English edition from 1948 from this book. And the next big step was given by Christopher Holpike in his Foundations of Primitive Thought of 1979, Clarendon Press, 1979. And he also linked ethnology with stage theory. And I did it in most of my books and in dozens of articles published, especially in the past 15 years. But the same is given when you think about religious studies. I must not repeat what I said already concerning this subject. The same is given when you think about political sciences. In some sequels of my presentation, I showed the relevance of stage theory concerning the foundations of political sciences, concerning the history of political structures and political reasoning. I must not repeat it. The same is given when you think about linguistics. I must not repeat what I said about this. The same is true when you think about the history of arts and painting, as I have showed in a full presentation, in a full sequel. The same is true when you think about sociology. That the nature of modern society is only explainable in terms of stage theory. Something that Jean Ziegler in 1968 understood to a certain rate in his book Sociologie et Contestation from 1968. And Jürgen Habermas, in a light phase during his research history, during his research biography, he had there a light phase in 1976 when he published his zur Rekonstruktion des historischen Materialismus. There's also an English translation available, I think from 1989, where he combined sociological theory with Piagetian theory in a superficial and shallow way, but nevertheless, he pinpointed some pivotal remarks and discoveries and contentions. And I showed this thoroughly that it is only possible to develop sociological theory when basing on stage theory. So we can see that stage theory should be the most relevant and the most fundamental theory in every single social or human discipline. Developmental psychology, stage theory, Piagetian theory, or let's say the structural genetic theory program, is or must be the most fundamental theory in every single discipline. And that is, I have shown over the past 40 years in all my books and articles. It is not a plan to develop in future decades persons head to evidence. No, it is already evidenced. It is proven by publications done over the past 40 years. There is no other single approach that could compete with the structural genetic theory program in sociology, in psychology, in ethnology, in religious studies, in political sciences, or whatever, even not in archaeology or in Egyptology. But we can say more. The structural genetic theory program is a unique possibility that exists to unify all social and human disciplines under one common roof. So I have shown that the structural genetic theory program has evidenced to be a theory that is capable to unify all other social and human disciplines under one common roof. And I have also showed that there is no other possibility to unify all social and human disciplines under one common roof. With the system theory of Niklas Luhmann, it is not possible to unify all other social and human disciplines under one common roof. And it is not possible with any other theory to do this work. So until now, there was no other theory or approach that has tried to unify all social and human disciplines under one common roof, and it is not possible that any other theory could achieve this goal. I think it will need decades or even generations until the social and human disciplines will understand what I have achieved during the past 40 years. And this theory evolution is in itself a manifestation of stage developments. As the evolution of the evolutionary theory of Charles Darwin was nothing else than a manifestation of the evolution of cognitive structures themselves, as Charles Darwin stood on a higher psychological stage than prior biologists, and therefore he could explore, inquire, and investigate, and find the solution to the understanding how species evolved. Because his theory is more complicated than former theories pertaining to the subject, as it is with the structural genetic theory program. It is a much higher developed theory than any other sociological theory developed previously. And as other social scientists stay on lower stages and therefore believe that the system theory of Niklas Luhmann or the theory of Michel Foucault be scientific theories, be great scientific theories, as they are not able to understand theories that stay on higher stages than they themselves. These people cannot understand theories that require to their understanding higher developed forms of reason and mind. And therefore, the only solution to the question of evolution of sciences can be their dying out as superfluous manifestations of evolution and their replacement by people that will stay on higher stages to understand the structural genetic theory program. So the evolution of sciences is in itself a manifestation of the evolution of stages, as Piaget himself formulated and described in his Psychogenesis, l'histoire des sciences of 1983, together with Rolando Garcia, where he described in detail that the evolution of sciences is in itself an evolution of psychological structures in the minds of scientists themselves. The same is true and given with sociology.